Okay, so I have few things that I have got, and let me take up the questions and let me start this webinar. I would again request everybody to please ask as many questions as possible and add more questions in the chat. Yeah. To begin with, one thing that I want to take is how to prepare for interviews. That's obviously one question that everybody is asking. And other than that, I also want to talk about before that, how do we work on it? Right. So what is data structures and algorithms? How do we learn it and how do we prepare for it? Okay, so that's one thing. What do I want to do is with respect to data structures and algorithms, first let me tell you how relevant it is. When you are preparing for interviews, this is the flow of your interview. There would be problem solving questions, there would be system design questions based on the projects that you make, and there would be few more they would basically tell you create this system. If you are creating this project, let's suppose you are creating a traffic management system, what all things will you take care of? And behavioral part is just about soft skills, communication skills, and these things. I would be focusing only on the problem solving part today. Problem solving part is about data structures and algorithms, it's about maths, and it is about corner cases thinking. So, maths, you already know since you are in such good college, you would be already knowing about mathematics. There would be no gaps in your mathematics. I'll talk about DSA and I'll talk about the corner case thinking part, right? And I'll take up one question, and with the help of that question, I'll explain this part. Okay, so this question I wanted to take up in a webinar 2 days ago as well, but I was not able to take it up. So the question is quite simple. It is successor problem, right? Before taking up this problem, everybody should try to solve this problem, and I should get answers to solve this problem. Before starting this problem, I just wanted to give you one idea that DSA in interviews, let's suppose you have done basically 20 questions, right? Let's suppose you have done 20 questions of dynamic programming. How do you think you would solve 21st question of dynamic programming? Obviously, you would solve it from the patterns of the 20 question that you have solved, right? From that also you will be, from then there only you will be trying to solve your 21st question, whatever patterns you have in your mind. So basically, we are pattern-based thinking people. There are few people who rely on original thinking, but I would not be talking about them. But basically, most of the people learn on the basis of patterns. So over here also, you have to focus on making sure that you learn about all the data structures, you learn about all the algorithms, and you practice as much as possible. You basically practice all the patterns of problems, right? The pattern of problem could be for example, it could be sliding window, right? Since my screen is already shared, I'll quickly basically share one thing with you. So I can go over here and I can go to lead code, right? And on the lead code, you can see there are some tags over here, right? I should go to the problems part, I guess. Yeah. So you can go to the problems part over here and you can see there are few tags over here, right? And those tags are, yeah, this is the tag. So you can see that there is arrays, there are dynamic programming, there is string, there is math, there is depth first search, there is greedy, there is tree, and all those things, right? So there is sliding window as well, there is try as well. So this is something that I call as pattern. So you have to make sure you learn about data structures, all the data structures should be done, you learn all the algorithms, and you learn all the patterns, right? And you keep practicing on more and more questions, because a new question will come, you will try to solve it from the existing patterns, right? And this is a never ending thing, right? Interviewer might ask you a very tough question and you may not be able to solve it. So data structures is a never ending thing. There is a person who is called as Gennady Kropotkin. He started when he was in when he was only 8 years old. And today also when he's 25, 26 years old, he's called God of competitive programming. And I hope you know about competitive programming, right? These are two things. One is competitive programming and one is interview prep. So in DSA, these are two things that come, right? Let me know in the chat section if you don't know about competitive programming and interview preparation. Interview preparation, obviously, I'm talking about. Competitive programming is a different thing. So he's called God of competitive programming. That's where most difficult data structures and algorithms question come. Even after practicing for so long, he gets wrong answers on questions. So if he can get wrong answers, so obviously everybody would get wrong answers. You, me, everybody would get wrong answers. So we can only become relatively better than anybody else, right? So we can basically get only relatively better, right? So there is like you can get better than your peers. That's the only thing that you can do, and you can apply better approaches. So that's the only thing you can do. You cannot say every time that I'll go in the interview and I'll crack all the questions that they are asking, right? So that's one thing that I wanted to say. I hope you have understood this part. I have still not got responses on the CP part. So please, people, please respond to this meeting, respond to the questions that I'm asking. Then only we can make it more fruitful. Then only we can make this webinar such good, right? We can get something out of it. So that's one thing. So how I'll basically talk about one question, right? Okay, Gopi, thank you for answering. Yeah, so that's about one thing. Basically, we have to practice as much as possible, right? Okay, so let's talk about this problem. I'll come back to CP later on. So this is one problem, right? So you are given, let's suppose 231. The input would be a number. The input would be a number that's given to you, right? Okay, so now you have to basically find the next greater permutation. So what do I mean by next greater permutation? Write all the permutations of this number. So one is 123, other would be 132, other would be 213, but write it in a sorted order. So other would be 231, another would be 312, another would be 321. Now locate this number in the sorted list of permutations. The number is over here. Find the next greater permutation. What is the next greater permutation? It is 312. So my answer for 231 is 312, right? So now let's basically, I hope you have understood the question. You would be given a number. You have to find the successor of that number in the sorted order of permutations, right? And if you are given 321 as the question, then your answer would be -1 because it's the largest value. I cannot go any further, right? So that is the question. I hope the question is clear to you all, right? Let me give you one other thing. Sorry, yeah, this will, I think, work. Yeah, perfect. Or I should write one other letter. Let's suppose, let's take 2. So if this is the number that is given to you and you have to find its successor in the sorted order of permutation. So how do you solve it? You have to find the next greater permutation, right? So the next greater permutation for it would be, this would be the next greater permutation, right? Now you have to solve this problem. This is a question which was asked in Amazon. I guess it was asked in Amazon. Yeah. Let me try to search this problem. Till then, you can try to solve this problem. Think of the approaches to solve this problem. You can use me as a soundboard if you want to use me. Try to come up with some approaches to solve it. You can say, you should think, you should basically try to build the solution. So over here, we'll build the solution. So think of the brute force solution first, and then slowly and steadily we'll make it optimal. Perfect. I hope I made this part clear. This is one other place. This is Code Studio that we have created. So this is a great place. Over here we have interview experiences and practice interview problems as well. So that's one place. And other than that, if you want to learn free for data structures and algorithms, so this is a great place. For example, there is a guided path for interview preparation, and there is a guided path for data structures and algorithms as well. Right? So over here, the complete path is given. So if you want to learn from scratch, I would recommend go to this part. Let me quickly find the successor problem. for you, I think, yeah. I think successor problem. Yeah, it's asked in Adobe. It was not asked in Amazon, but it was asked in Adobe. Perfect. So I'll share this part with you. I hope the question is clear. We have one approach as well. So Kaushik is saying that divide the digits and make them into an array and then sort it. But how can I sort it, Kaushik? For example, if I sort them, then obviously it will not work, right? So if I convert them into an array and then I sort it, then this will obviously not work. One will come ahead, then two will come, and all those things would happen, right? So this is not correct. What you are mentioning, it's not correct. Sir, can you please, yeah, please look into this question. I have already shared the link. Use this link to understand this question. Uh, we are running out of time. We have to uh, basically we have a campus hero as well, somebody from your college who is made big, and we have to give the mic to him as well. Okay. So Pratik is saying find the smallest and the second smallest number and swap them and sort after the swap. So one thing that you have to do is while you are building the solution, you have to make sure that you are using as many test cases as possible. Like for example, one test case that I have written over here is 402356, right? So you are saying that find the smallest and the second smallest number. So according to you, first and the second smallest number are these two. You have to swap these things. So according to you, the answer should be 420356. But that is not the answer. For this, I think, uh, yeah, for this, the next greater element would be 402365. This would be the next greater permutation, right? So let us try to solve this problem. And obviously one way is to generate all the permutations, right? If you have learned recursion, then you would be able to solve this problem. This is a recursive problem. And if you go after the book also, there is a book which is written by Horowitz and I think Sahni. So there is book written by Sahni, and it's in data structures in C. And in the first chapter itself, he has explained how to write permutations. So he has explained recursion in the very first chapter. So how to write permutations of 123. So what you can do is basically you can generate all the permutations of a particular number, and then you it would be the permutations would be written in the sorted order itself, right? It's generated in a such a way that it will be written in the sorted manner itself. Then you can locate your number, and then what you can do is you can print the successor of it, whatever is the next number. Okay, that is one way. That is the brute force way. Yeah, so there is a user with the username Sabri Girish. So he has given some approach, but let me try to elaborate on that part. So basically, one thing that we can notice from here is that see, the last two numbers were repeated. The last two numbers were interchanged. So from 5 6 I became 6 5. So there is one thing that I can take it from here, right? One thing that I can take it from here is that I have to create the next greater permutation. So I have to make changes in as smaller place values as possible, right? As smaller place values as possible, right? It should be as smaller place values as possible. Got it? I think this makes sense. You have to find just greater permutation. So you have to make changes in as smaller place values as possible. I am reiterating this part because this is the part where I want to stress, right? So make changes in smaller place values, right? I can find the greater permutations by bringing 5 in the front, and then I can do all those things. But I don't have to find the greater permutation. I have to find just greater permutation. Okay. So we have found we have got another response as well. And yeah, so Pranay has written something, but again the Pranay is also saying the same thing. Start from the ones place, right? And what we have to do is let's look into this example. So what we are going to do, we are going to start from the ones digit. First, look into only this much place. So let me change the color of the pen. First, look into only this much place, right? Take only 2. Can you form a greater number using just this digit 2? You cannot form, right? So then take another number, 7, right? Then it becomes 72. Can you form a greater number just using 72? Just using 72, I cannot form a greater number. 72 is the greatest number that can be formed out of 72, right? Then take 8 as well. From 872, can you form a greater number? I cannot form, right? Then from 9872, I cannot form from this also. So then I'll include 1. You can see as soon as I include 1, I can form a greater number using these 5 digits. So I have to use as smaller place values as possible to work on it. Then I'll take 1, right? I know that now I can create a larger place value. I can create a greater permutation out of it. So what I'll do is I'll simply say that 1, right? So 1, starting with 1, this is the greatest value that can be formed, right? If these digits are given to you 19872, the next thing that we have to focus on is starting with 1. These are the greatest digits that can be formed, right? And obviously I would not be touching these numbers, right? These would remain unchanged, right? Just a second. Yeah, this would remain unchanged. So starting with 1, this is the greatest value that I can find, right? This is the greatest value that I can find. Now what I need to do is I want to find just greater value than this. So what I'll do is I'll swap this 1 with the just greater value in 9872. I'll swap it with 2, right? Then I'll get 9871, right? Like still the order would be same. Still the order would be in the increasing order, right? Like 7 is greater than 1, 8 is greater than 7. The order would be same because I have swapped 1 with the just greater value, right? So I've swapped these two values. So I would be, the order behind would be perfectly same. Now what I have got is starting from 2, I have got the greatest value. Now what I'll write, I want to find starting with 2 the smallest number. Starting with 1 I had the greatest number. I have to find just greater. So starting with 2 I have to find the smallest number. So I would reverse this part. I would reverse this part. I get 1, 7, 8 and 9. So I would get 2, 1, 7, 8, 9. Right? So this is how we will solve it. And if I want to implement it, it's pretty simple. Take all the digits in the array and then start from behind, right? As till the point you get increased values. From 2 you get increased value. From 7 you are getting increased value. Then from 8, and then you reach up to 9. From 9 you are getting a decreased value, which is 1. So at that point you stop, right? And you take these values and you see that what is the value which is just increased or which is basically just greater than 1. Then you find 2, you swap it with 1. So this is how it will become, and then you reverse this part, right? I hope this part is clear. I hope how to find the successor, it's pretty clear, right? So now I would be going in the comments. The first comment that I got was from Pranay. And before Pranay also, Sabri said, and he said, start from right and swap 2 digits where left one is more than the right. Right. That's also not correct, Sabri, I guess. Then Pranay said that start from the ones digit, find the first digit where there exists a digit which is smaller than the number at the right hand side. This is correct. Then in the part of the number to the right hand side. Okay. So swap these two numbers. Right, this is where I think I kind of disagree. Now find the smallest arrangement of the digits to the right side of the digits. I hope you are saying the same thing that I've explained. Then Sukhadev is saying that so in case in the immediate successor requires a change in the first place itself, then we will have to do the same or another approach will be used. In the first place itself, right? So we have to use the same approach, exactly same approach. So let's take this example. So we have 4, 0, 2, 3, 5 and 6, right? So I would start from here. Can you find a greater value? I cannot find. Then you go over here. You can say that, right, I can find the greater value, right? So you can find the greater value out of it. So you would say that keep 5 as it is. Find the just greater value in this bracket. Just greater value for 5 is 6 only. So I would replace it from here. 6 would come over here and 5 would come over here, right? You swap these two values. And then what you would say, this is the greatest value that I can get starting from 6. So you have to reverse this part. So if you reverse this part, then obviously reversing a single digit would not change anything. So this is the answer, which is the answer of this question, right? Perfect. This is one thing that I wanted to talk about. Now, I hope the question is clear. I hope the question is clear. Now, this is one question that we have, successor problem asked in Adobe interview. Now let's talk about another thing. I recently saw another question which was of the similar kind, right? So it was asked in weekly contest 239. And this is a weekly contest that happens on Lead Code. You should do it once you reach to a place where you have good understanding of data structures and algorithms. Then you should go give these contests as well, right? So now over here, what they have written is that that wonderful integers. So they have twisted this question. They say that wonderful integer is the integer whose permutation of the digits in num is greater in value than num, right? So all the greater permutation than num are called wonderful integers. So obviously that's the same thing that he's talking about. Then one more thing that he's saying, that if the number is 54893554142, first wonderful integers would be just greater permutation to it. Then there is second wonderful integer, then third wonderful integer, and the fourth wonderful integers, right? So what we have to do is we have to find the kth smallest wonderful integers. First thing that they have said, you have to find the kth smallest wonderful integer. So this is quite simple, right? I can create the next greater permutation. From here I can go to the next greater permutation. From here I can go to the next greater permutation. From here I can go to the next greater permutation, and from, like, I can go step by step, right? So I would find the kth smallest permutation, greater permutation. Then what is saying is, one more thing that it is saying is, let me quickly get my this part from here. So one more thing that it is saying is that you have started from num, you have reached over here. What is the minimum number of adjacent swaps that you can do to achieve this part? So over here you can basically you have to do 2 swaps only. The number is 54893555142. This is the number. And the fourth greatest permutation, the fourth successor, is this number, 548935541, right? So how many adjacent swaps you need to make, right? One swap would be this, another swap, like you basically need to take one at the end. So there are 2 swaps that you need, right? I hope you got the question. The point that I want to mention over here is that there are repetitive questions asked in the interviews, right? So over here, what you have seen is that this question was asked earlier as well. This is a twisted and the tweaked version of successor problem only, right? And let me quickly give you this question as well if you want to practice. So if you want to look to this question, I am giving you the link as well, right? So like, what happens? Let's suppose somebody has to take your interview. Like somebody has to come to IIT Bhubaneswar and you have to take your interview. So what it will do is Amazon would say that tomorrow you have to go to this college and you have to take the interview. So what they will do is they'll go to Geeks for Geeks, they'll go to HackerRank, they'll go to Code Studio, they'll go to Lead Code, and they'll find hard problems and then they'll ask you. They would not create new questions. Or even if they will create new question, they'll create twisted and tweaked versions of the existing patterns, existing questions. So that's why I said that these parts that I mentioned to you, these guided paths, these existing questions, these becomes really important, right? All these questions that are given, the previous year questions becomes really important. So make sure that you learn all the data structures, all the algorithms, all the patterns. And this is one place where you can learn all these things. And it doesn't matter which language you have to use. So to answer that question, which language should I start? It doesn't matter. You can start with C++, Java, or Python, right? Let me give you a quick answer to this question, right? So let's suppose you are an interview, and let's suppose you are taking you are taking my interview, and let's suppose there is another person. You have given one problem to me, you have given one problem to him, and I know C++, Java, Python, I know everything, and he knows only about C++. and you have given a hard problem to me, right? And to him as well, you have given hard problem to us. I am not able to solve because it takes time to learn C++, Java, and Python. All these three languages takes time. I was not able to practice so many problems. So what I'll do is I would not be able to solve it. And he basically, given that he has solved problems in one language only, but he has practiced more problems, so he would be able to solve them. So who would you choose out of me and him? Obviously him, right? Because he was able to solve the problem. So language is not important, but learning the subjects is important. So data structure, focus on data structures and algorithms. Don't focus on language. You can go to any language that you want. You can do it with C++, you can do it with Java, you can do it with Python, right? No preferences, right? Okay. So one more thing that I wanted to add with respect to data structures and algorithms, there is a person who is called UWI Tenpen. So let's suppose you have solved a problem. How do we make sure that we keep it in our hand? Like let's suppose there is an interview after 10 days. There is an interview after, let's suppose, not 10 days, but let's suppose after 4 or 5 months, or let's suppose after 2 years, you will sit for placements in your college. So how do you make sure that you have the same understanding of data structures and algorithms that you have today? How do you make that sure? Like, how do you make sure that? So what you have to do is you have to solve the question, whatever questions that you are solving, and you have to review it. By review, I mean you have to make sure that you understand that problem really well. You have to make sure that you understand what of the solution, why of the solution, and you have to make sure that you understand how of the solution, what of the solution, why of the solution, and how of the solution. And then you should prepare your library, right? You should create your digital library or physical library. Let's suppose you have created a physical notebook where you have written these problems, right? So after, let's suppose you have given 3 to 4 pages to one problem, then you have left a page blank, and then you have started another problem. Make sure that you are elaborately explaining those things. Because if tomorrow is an interview, you would like to revise things. What would you revise? The library that you have prepared. From where will you solve questions? From the patterns that you have created over all the years or over all the months. So focus on this part, right? And that's how you basically get better at coding competitions as well, right? So the competitive programming part is coding competitions. These kind of questions come and you are given 1 hour, 30 minutes, or you are given 2 hours, and you have to solve these problems, these data structures and algorithm problems. So this is called competitive programming. You are given a test for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, or 2 hours. And then on the basis of that, you are basically ranked, leaderboard is created out of it. So this is competitive programming, right? And this is the advice that I wanted to share. Solve, review, and prepare your own library. These are 3 golden words that everybody should follow, right? Perfect. Any questions, people? Any questions so far? I wanted to invite Rishabh, and like everything that I wanted to tell about data structures and algorithms, I've already told. If there is any other thing that you wanted to ask, then please let me know. You can unmute yourself. You can speak as well, right? Make sure that you understand this part. Make sure that you understand uh, how problems are to be solved, right? Focus on why of the solution, and make sure that you are understanding them in a collective manner, right? Arrays, you are solving them together, right? We have created a guided path as well. You can follow that as well. But make sure that you, when you are solving a problem, you learn it in a way that you are understanding why of the solution, how of the solution, and you are learning why of the solution, right? So Pratik is saying, what is the ideal time to study data structure and algorithms? Take time to understand that part. Take time. Make sure that you understand it really well. It would not take more than 3 4 months. Then start solving contests. So you have, like, breadth can be covered, depth cannot be covered anytime. I'm saying Gennady Krotkovich was the person who started doing this when he was only 8 years old. So you are to we cannot say, like, if he is getting wrong answers, then obviously we are nothing in front of him. So you cannot do depth, you cannot cover depth, but what you can cover is you can cover breadth. So make sure that you learn all the data structures and algorithms first. It won't take more than 3 months, right? So after you have done that part, then the second thing that you have to do is you have to practice as much as possible, right? Keep giving these contests. Take one platform. Either you can go to Code Forces, Code Chef, Code Studio, Lead Code, wherever you want to go. Take one platform and keep following him and keep solving those questions, right? There is one more question, uh, but I'll quickly invite Rishabh, and so that Rishabh can speak, and he can guide you. Like, so, Rishabh, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, I think it's been too long since we have met. I think 2 years back we met. You won't remember me, but anyways.
Okay.
So hi guys, I'm Rishabh and I graduated in 2020. I'm currently working at Jaguar Land Rover, right? And so something about me. So I usually work as a cloud engineer. I develop systems on the cloud. I use Google Cloud Platform. We consistently my main language would be Node.js and Python. But again, language is not a barrier. We can easily pick them up, right? So any questions? I'll try to take the questions first. Any questions? You can ask most of the things. Anything. Salaries also is fine. Anything is fine. You can go ahead and ask anything if you want.
So there is one question already, and you can take that up. It is that is it necessary to take one language before doing DSA? Like like
So
language part they're asking.
so yeah, you know what? I think I have learned quite a few of languages. I know Node.js, Java, C++, C, Python, and I can tell you this. See, it depends on person to person, right? The best way is if you're a CS guy, I think you should go learn C++, and because it will be used in your curriculum. Otherwise, if you're seeing this path is very uphill, go with Python. It's easy. Do your stuff. Then once you're fine, because nobody will really judge which language you are using, right? Most of the platforms you can choose the languages, and once you have the language ready, you just have to explain the problem and the solution to the interviewer. That's fine. It does not really matter at all.
Yeah, perfect. Uh, Anything that you can basically advise them with respect to interview preparation, like
Yes.
specific with respect to IIT Hyderabad as well, uh, like
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
one question, Rishabh, that came to me right in the beginning, and it was
Mhm.
that key I'm a MTech student and I have few months to prepare for my placements. So how
Mhm.
do I properly utilize these months? Yeah.
See, so basically the point is that first of all, you would better find check the companies you're targeting, right? Targeting east and west, north and south does not really help a lot. If you're targeting some niche startups, right, which do pay well, right, and then they would probably ask you your in-depth software engineering skills like SQL. They will ask you about your network operating system. They will ask you this horizon of languages. They might even ask you, and obviously data structures and algorithms is that thing remains, that is there, right, that they will ask. But if you're targeting the big companies, right, Amazon, Goldman Sachs, typically not, let's not talk about Goldman Sachs because they also involve quant questions. Amazon, Microsoft, they typically usually require freshers to be able to solve normal problems. And how you can do this quickly? Best way is just take those problems, read a lot of problems. If you don't have time to solve them, read a lot of problems, rote learn it. And once you get the pattern, and I am assuming you know the basic coding, go to Lead Code and start giving those contests, give those virtual contests, because a lot of problems that you see in the interviews, I have seen it myself. I solved 150 no 196 contest, and the problem same came in the interview, right? So that is, you do that Lead Code stuff, right?
Yeah, I agree with Rishabh completely, and I took one problem as well, very like well-known problem, successor problem, and then I showed them a twisted or tweaked version of that problem in a recent contest of Lead Code,
It
and
came right in
yeah,
200 and something, I
okay,
think.
okay, yeah. So one more thing. Rishabh, is there is a document which keeps floating in Google, and it is called, the document name is the Lead Code Problem. I read it on
Yeah,
Medium somewhere, and
yeah,
that is basically they are not able to create new problems. Whenever they are they create new problems, somehow it gets leaked to Lead Code, and people already know questions.
yeah. What I'll tell you this, there is a database of problems. All the
Uh,
companies, even Goldman Sachs, Google has it, everybody has.
yeah.
They have these questions, right? And you know what? They pick these questions from there. That is why I don't promote any of the false methods to do anything, but it is mostly common that people, if you find a question after the contest is over, paste it in the Google, you will see similar results.
Hmm.
Typically from lead code discussions or sometimes from Geeks for Geeks as well, right?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, just before that, ending that, do specifically for CSE guys and not for others, do your projects properly, do know the basics, because you are expected to know that others won't. I still remember being rejected from a company because they expected me to know those things, but the electrical guy didn't. So be sure to practice your projects, and because once things are common, after round one is done, they will come to your projects. Round one and round two are done in the final round on something. So don't just neglect them completely.
Then the next question is asked by Apu Chakravarti, and I don't know what that means. Is he says that I'm from DSE branch, and I don't know about DSE branch, probably specific to IT Hyderabad. Then which language is better to get job if I'm from DSE branch?
Can somebody clarify what DSE means? I'm not sure at all.
Ah, okay.
So
So yeah, yeah.
take Python, guys. If you're
Ah,
confused, you don't have time, take Python, because it automatically encapsulates a lot of details. But if you have time, go for Java or C++. I would prefer C++. But if you don't have time, take Python and do the stuff.
yeah. Okay. So I think that's all. Acha, data science and engineering, DSE means,
Yeah, so take Python.
of course,
Take
that's
Python. That
Python becomes pretty clear then.
Yeah, I mean, Python is because Python, you see, once you get into the lot of companies are also looking for Python grads these days, Node.js and Python grads, because once you go to the cloud, right, you can expand systems very quickly. So these languages are becoming very popular these days. So Python is a good language. JavaScript is also good, but I will say Python always. So any other questions? Yeah, I can tell you one more thing that you won't really get to know apart from your final year seniors. So typically if you talk about the salary in hand, right? Typically 12 to 17, 18 companies apart, leave the aberrations like code nations apart, typically ask you about for your, what do you say? I mean, let's say DS algo, but companies such as Razorpay, Gojek, Jaguar Land Rover, who pay more than that, often ask you some things more than that, right? So it's better to have those skills in your way also. Like multi-threading is one of them, multi-processing is them, but that only comes when the basics are in place, right? So that is all from my side. Yes.
Yeah, Rishabh, how do you suggest somebody gets to apply these things? For example, there are so many concepts in databases, there are so many concepts in operating systems that we get to learn, but obviously, they, they will come in software engineering some or the other way.
Yeah, yeah,
So, how do they get to do that? Like,
yeah,
should
yeah,
they
yeah.
make projects? Also, like, if you can talk about that.
I'll discuss about grade. I usually got really good grades in computer science subject, except DBMS, where I got, I think, C. And honestly, these concepts are really used while designing.
Mhm.
Let's talk about, so when you design systems, right? When you start designing the systems,
Yeah.
so see, implementing stuff, you don't get much of a time, right? You solve data structure problems. You can implement one or two projects, but you can't do anything too complicated with them, because the scale does not come, your use case does not demand them, right? So what you could probably do is talk about, discuss and read system design blogs. What happens when you scale the systems? Now, in that case, it won't be your DS algo that is coming into the picture, not at all, right? You would realize that suddenly locking mechanism, that's those mutex locks or change to remote locks. That transaction becomes a key component, because if the transaction of database is not available, everybody will be writing to the database at the same time, and you don't have any, like the amount of the money will go on negative, right, in banks. So once you start designing the systems, so best exercise is read a blog, design that system, think what you would require, and use that. In that way, you won't really, I mean, that is a very naive way of doing it, but if you want to escape making those projects because it takes a lot of time, this is one way to do it. Otherwise, you can take a project and make it, use Google Cloud Platform, Amazon to make your stuff, right? You can do that.
Like a lot of ready-made things are over there. And
but using those is timely, right?
Huh.
You have 100 servers, you have an SQL server. How do you kind of make sure that data is consistent? You have to apply those transactions and things you have read.
And these would be things probably interviewer would be interested in. Like when you said that there are companies which will ask more than data structures and algorithms, probably these are the things that they will ask.
Yes. And precisely, if guys who have not had the CSE, get it, read it from somewhere, or get somebody to teach you, whatever is the case. Because once you get into this, right, if let's say your DS algo round is not getting good, because it's a steep learning curve, right? You don't become automatically great at it. So you kind of compensate it with other arts. And the best way to start a conversation, if you know the person's background, is to talk about these technical subjects, talk about your projects and how you could scale them up. And this is precisely how I could secure 2 more offers, right? Specifically in Jaguar, I talked with principal architect a lot. I solved those questions, but I knew I won't get in until I engage him a lot, right? So I talked to him, I engaged with those questions, right? I talked about those systems, how you build them. Once he sees that you can build system at scale, then it becomes easy.
Perfect. Few more quick questions. There are few questions. One is like how much engineering branch matters for software engineering? That's one question. So you can take that question.
So honestly, other than some companies, see, if you're from electrical, circuital branches, right? No, it does not really matter. Yes, C++ guy do get a small bit of preference, but small does bit never emerges in the real life, right? But at the same time, some companies, very few companies might put some restrictions, but others won't, right? Non-circuital branches would have to kind of struggle. They would have to utilize their opportunities very nicely, right? You will get the companies, but depending upon the college, depending upon the circumstances, some companies, let's say for 30-40% companies might bar you out, right? And last thing is, like, because you in the startup arena, right, where the pay is like amazingly high, specifically people who want you to develop stuff and don't really come for campus recruitments, they would really prefer CS people. But you won't really go into them. I've never seen IIT folks directly joining them. It usually one switch after the another. Last thing that might come into the picture is once you join, then there will be a steep learning curve for you, because your CSE folks might know those things already. But other than that, for cracking a job, no, you won't need anything. You can easily crack anything. With DS Algo strong, I think you can do anything, honestly.
Perfect. So those two are keywords. One is what Rishi mentioned in the last part. Read blogs, reads specifically system design blogs. If you want to get better with the core part and with your projects, and if you want to learn the internal part really well. And the second thing is, if you have strong DSA, you can crack any interview with any branch. Moving on, Ayush is asking, like, what are the common mistakes that a person can make from his journey from Hello World to cracking an interview? What are the mistakes that they should not do?
So I made a big mistake, right? I got a PPO from G in my 3rd year, right? And at that time, G was, I was pretty satisfied. But later on, I realized that I'm getting some better offers, better companies to interview with. I had left my DS Algo skills in the dust. I practiced till the third year, and Mr. I think Sadhu, I met you during the Summit sir's classes, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I met you there. So I read that and I let it go because I cracked most whatever I wanted.
Okay.
Now for 2 years, I let it stay in the dust. I developed a lot of projects, accumulated a lot of knowledge. But when I started again interviewing with the companies after my fourth year, I started struggling to revise those things because that speed and that accuracy was not coming. Suddenly, the 3 problem solving on the lead code went to 2, and sometimes even 1. But to make it even to 2 took me time. So keep on practicing. Don't let it go to dust. Keep on practicing, even if you are very good right now, because fourth year is 4 years away, or 3 years away, 2 years away, depending upon the audience.
Yeah, agreed. And you don't realize what you have right now. Let's suppose if you have reached to a level where you are very good with DSA, but when you will try to recall it after a time when your knowledge has become stale, it's not that fresh.
Yes.
Then you will realize that what I had and what I don't have right now. So
yeah.
Keeping in touch is really important. And LeetCode has started one thing, like you would feel that I am from Coding Ninjas, but I'm propagating LeetCode so much, but it is a good resource. I feel it's the best interview preparation site. It has started something where you can basically solve one problem every day. So even doing that will keep you touching DSA. So you can do that. Then Tamanna is asking whether DSA would be enough to crack jobs. Rishabh has already answered. You know DSA, you'll be able to crack any job. Try to do that system design part as well. Try to make sure that you are filling the gaps of the core part as well. Try to make sure that you are creating projects as well. But DSA would land you a good job. Then
because switching will be tough otherwise. If you are only DSA is important, extremely important, do that. But if you want to switch the jobs in future as well, once you get a 6 months of experience, 7 months or 1 year or 1.5 year of experience, you would probably require this. And this also serves as a differentiating factor. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just reading out the next question. So over here it is that I'm in first year and I feel stressed about things. So Atharv is saying that my curriculum, the curriculum has C language. I'm doing C++. I also need project. There are some development stuff that I need to do. How to manage all those things? I'm getting confused. So that's one question.
I mean, that is Atharv, manage it, man. Nobody can help. But you know what? Do development, because otherwise you would lose the commitment, right? The fun part is the development part, but learn that C++, do the coding data structures algorithm. But when you are free, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours a week, give it to those development, because otherwise you will lose the touch. You will feel after 2 years, what did I learn? What can I develop? When your cousins start telling you, bhaiya, ek website bana do, make a website for me, make something for me. So do a bit of that, but you have to kind of keep it. But you're in first year, man, chill out, have relax a bit, do those data structures. In the second year, you start those things. For 1 year, you completely focus on DSL.
Yeah. Moving on, basically, Sukhadev is asking, before interviews, would it be advisable to know about that company, the technical side of that company, how does it functioning, like all those things?
I'll tell you, I was, my offer was delayed for a month especially for JLR, because they were not happy that I didn't knew about the cars. I don't know about those luxury cars, right? I was not very good at it. So I didn't know these names, but niche companies, right, who hire very less, right? They honestly want their people to know and be passionate about the things they do, right? If you're if you're Amazon will anyway hire you, but if you're going to a niche company, right? For example, DevRev is one. For example, I have heard, I won't take names. Gojek is another. Yeah. They want you to be passionate. And if you have read about the interviewer and the company, it becomes very easy to strike a conversation. Okay. I know people without any DSL were able to strike conversations very nicely and were able to relate to the interviewer. They got selected.
Okay. And Amazon also has few things like they have this design leadership principles, I think.
Principles,
So
14 principles. That comes in SG2 also. I mean, yeah, it's important. That comes in SG2. And yes, never tell an interviewer that you can probably go and, you will go outside to study, even if you have got everything. Otherwise, you will be 100% rejected.
Yeah. So one last question, or probably we should not take that. We have only 3 minutes left. So
You can,
So this is the same Zoom account that would be used for another meeting. So you can share your contact details or email ID so that people can connect with you, Rishabh. If they have any questions, if you are comfortable with that.
Yeah. I'll share my email ID.
Yeah,
if required, we can then connect with on my mobile phone as well, but that depends on the requirements.
Yeah.
Here is my email ID, guys.
I'll also quickly write if you have any questions which you were not able to ask in the webinar because we have scarcity of time. So please feel free to write to Rishabh or to me, right? Okay, perfect, people. Thank you, Rishabh, for your time. Thank you. It was lovely talking to you, and thank you for those bits and pieces, like some rules that you said that these things have to be done. So perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Rishabh. Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye. Okay, people. Bye.